Hello students, today in your algebra class you're going to be working on completing the square part 2, which in this case would be solving the completed square. So before we begin, let's try a couple quick practice problems. This would be a really good time for you to pause your screen and try working these problems out. Hopefully you've paused your screen and you're now coming back to check your answers. So for number 1, in order for us to complete the square, step 1 was to add 24 to both sides so that we can add the constant to the other side of the equal sign. Step 2, after we do a cleanup step, is to take the linear term, which in this case the linear term is 10. Take the linear term, divide by 2, which is 5. Then we take 5 and square it, which is 25. Then we're going to add that to both sides of the equal sign. So x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 24 plus 25. Now we're left with x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 49. Now we're going to write it as a perfect square. So that will have the two parentheses with the equal sign, and that's equal to some number. So let's fill in the parentheses. Now again, the way we fill out the parentheses is we start with an x, and then we take the sign of the linear term. So the sign of the linear term in this case is positive or plus, so we do plus. And then we take the square root of 25, which in this case is 5, and that's equal to 49. So we're going to do the same exact thing for problem 2. We want to move the constant to the opposite side of the equal sign, so we subtract 5 from both sides. We are left with x squared plus 6x equals negative 5. Then we're going to take the linear term, which is 6. We're going to divide by 2. Then we're going to square it and add that to both sides of the equal sign. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals negative 5 plus 9. We're going to take the left-hand side and put it into our perfect square. And we're going to fill this in. So in the parentheses we start with x, then we take the sign of the linear term, which is positive or plus, and then we take the square root of our 9, which in this case is 3, and that's equal to 4. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to complete the square and then solve it. So example 1 should look fairly similar. We did these problems yesterday on part 1 video. Now steps 1 through 4 should look very familiar because these are the steps we use to complete the square. Steps 5 through 7 are the 3 new steps that we're going to use to solve the completed square. So step 5 is to square root both sides, making sure to add the plus or minus sign. So to square root both sides, we take our initial equation, which is x plus 3 quantity squared equals 18. So we square root both sides, making sure to add plus or minus. Then a square and a square root cancel each other out. So x plus 3 quantity squared becomes x plus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 18. Now the square root of 18 is 3 square root of 2. And the way that we got that is to do a quick factor tree of 18. So we're going to write 18. And this breaks down to 2, 9, and 3, and 3. So we have the square root of 3 times 3 times 2. Remember, 2 for me, 1 for you, so we have 1, 3, and the 2 is left over, so we leave that in the square root. Step 6 says to add or subtract to isolate the x. So in order for us to get this x by itself, we need to get rid of plus 3. And the opposite of plus 3 is minus 3, so we subtract 3 to both sides. And we have x equals negative 3 plus 3 square root of 2. Now, step 7 says to write down both steps, or both solutions. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, one is 3 plus 3 square root of 2. So we're going to change one to a plus 3 square root of 2, and the other one is minus. So we're going to change the plus or minus to just a minus. And here are our two solutions. Let's try another problem. Example 2, we get x plus 2 quantity squared equals 28 on the bottom. Step 5 is to square root both sides. And then we have to do plus or minus, of course. So we're left with x plus 2 equals plus or minus 28, plus or minus the square root of 28. So that's step 5. Step 6 is to add or subtract to isolate the x. So we're going to subtract 2 to both sides to get the x by itself. We're left with x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 28. And the square root of 28 just so happens to be 2 square root of 7. And step 7 says write down both solutions. So we have x equals negative 2 plus 2 square root of 7. And we have x equals negative 2 minus 2 square root of 7. And those are our two solutions. Now it's your turn. Take the problem x plus 4 quantity squared equals 64 and solve the completed square. That's all for now. See you guys next time.